everyone. Thanks for joining.
Yes, welcome back to Real Conversations with Sheeta and
Nikki. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about growing your small business. And we have a special guest with us today, and that is Miss Brandy West. Sheeta, you want to tell them a little bit about Brandy?
Yes, she is the owner of Pretty Counts. Pretty Counts is a full-scale accounting company. Her company provides financial resources to help small business grow. The services include bookkeeping, business formation, personal and business tax filing, payroll, legal filing, and a list of other things. So welcome to the show, Brandy.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And et cetera, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. So
thank you for having me.
I appreciate you taking the time out to be on our episode today.
Yeah.
So do you want to start off by just talking a little bit about your business and what you do? I know I gave a little bit, but I know you could probably go into more detail.
Yeah, you gave the rundown.
Yeah.
So Pretty Counts is, like you said, a full-scale accounting company. It started off as just taxes about maybe 7-8 years ago now. And it kind of grew out of necessity and it kind of just naturally happened. My education and background is in accounting. And I've also always worked for some of the big familiar corporations as an accountant with them. And so I kind of just felt like small business needed those same resources that, large corporations and, corporations with the big money, the resources that they use. I think sometimes small businesses, they try to do everything themselves, and at some point you have to outsource certain things. And for me, I think accounting is just very important to have that. And so that's kind of how it happened. I started to provide more services that we needed, including, like you noted, things like payroll, things like a person who can completely form your business, legalize it, make sure that you have all of your registrations, all of your licenses and things like that. And here we are today. So today, that's what we're doing, offering all of those services. We have grown tremendously in the tax portion of the business.
Yeah, because I follow you on Facebook. I love your energy, Brandy, because you're always like helping you. Like that's your main focus, is just helping people and to educate them on what needs to be done the right way.
Absolutely.
The correct way. And I just love that about you, that you're just so for the people and wanting them to be independent, entrepreneurs, helping the small business owners. So I just love, whenever I see you posting stuff on Facebook, I'm liking it because I love it. I just love everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think it's important, we have to help each other.
Yeah.
There's tons of things that, that I have no idea of. And if you have knowledge that you can share with me, I always feel the need to reciprocate that,
Yeah.
So that's kind of just, I think it's important for sure.
Yeah. I wanted to ask a question too. A lot on our podcast, we talk about entrepreneurship and things like that. So kind of piggybacking off something that you said, how you were working for the big corporations and then you just stepped out and started your own business, entrepreneurship. What made you step out to say, I'm going to start this? Because a lot of times we get scared, especially coming from those big firms, you're making good money, and that's a big risk to step out on your own. So what inspired you to say, I'm going to go out here and do this on my own?
I 100% agree with what you said. I would say about 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, entrepreneurship really wasn't like, people were doing it, but it wasn't the wave. And so making that decision is very difficult. I'll say this though, I haven't fully transitioned to complete entrepreneurship, but because I'm still working for a company as their senior accountant, right? But I am at a point where Pretty Counts has become my priority, and it has become pretty much the bulk of my income. And so the transition is happening. And I think for me, the biggest reason why I continue to kind of hold on is, one, a lot of the things that I'm doing at work as a senior accountant are the same things that I'm doing for my business. So it's still allowing me to learn from people who are in positions like the CFO of a company. And that's who I work for. And that's the chief financial officer. So I'm working directly with her and learning from her every single day and using those things to apply it to my business. So it's been easier for me to manage the two because it's really just one thing that I'm doing all day, which is accounting. But now that need has come, because I think 2020 was a game changer for myself and a lot of people. We know now that we can run our own businesses, be successful, still be at home, have time with your family, not be so stressed out by this 9 to 5 routine, every single day. And, really get out there and make it happen. So for me, being able to have this year that I've had with my son and my family, and being at home and building my own business is the game changer for me. And everything else I'll figure out. There are going to be some sacrifices for sure, but I'm definitely ready for it. So yeah, I think everybody has that point where it's like, okay, I can really do this. And so now I know that I can really do this.
Yeah.
So, don't get me wrong, I'll miss the perks. Well, where I work now, you guys are familiar with it, but it's a parking app where you search for parking for different events.
Right.
And so it's not so corporate. I've done the rigid, structured corporate roles,
right?
But this one isn't like that. We have like unlimited vacation and really good benefits, and so I'm gonna miss. Don't get me wrong, like I'm gonna miss some parts of it, but it's time to make it happen. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, 2020 was hard on a lot of people with the pandemic, but what was some of like the challenges that you faced when working with small business owners when it came to the pandemic?
I would say for me, it kind of gave me a reality check as to how much people didn't know and how unstructured a lot of what we were doing was. Like, people didn't have their basic LLCs. They didn't have EIN numbers. They didn't know what a grant was or what, you know what I mean? Like, these people were just used to filing or not filing their taxes.
Right.
So I think that the struggle for me was being able to dedicate the time to kind of help turn that around. I for sure can't say I did it by myself, but I was able to work with a lot of people who needed to form during the pandemic and needed to find some kind of resources and financial help to either, increase their business or help it stay afloat.
Right.
And that's really what I've been doing all pandemic, is working with those businesses, getting them, funding that. There's a lot of, SBA, PPP, all that stuff out here, but there's a ton of other things that people don't know and aren't focused on. Right. And so that's what I've been doing this whole time.
Yeah. Because I've noticed you on Facebook that you've been helping a lot of people with filling out for the PPP loan. What is the PPP loan? Can small business owners still apply for that? Like, what's the benefit of the PPP loan?
So there's a lot of benefits to it. The initial round of PPP, which is payroll protection loan, that most of the funds that came from that went to big business. It didn't go to small businesses. It didn't go to self-employed people, people who hairstylists. It didn't reach that level of people. Right. So this round is specifically for small businesses, for self-employed individuals. It's not as structured as it was before, where you have to have a business license, or you had to have your LLC in order to apply for it. So the benefits, there are a couple of benefits. One is that it's not a grant, but it is a forgivable loan, which means that if you spend the money in the way that you say you're going to spend it and the way that it is required to be spent, then it can become forgivable with a simple application, a one-page application. Okay. So you apply for this loan based on your income from either 2019 or 2020. And you take what you need. You don't be greedy about it, take what you need and spend it how you're supposed to spend it, and then it's gone. The only thing that I don't know as a tax preparer at this point, because tax laws are still changing for 2020 and all the, things that are happening with the pandemic, that I don't know if it's going to become taxable income for 2021. So that's something to look out for. That's something to be aware of when you are taking, these funds. Right. But for the most part, it's for the person who is self-employed and has a small business to stay afloat or grow at this point. I truly believe that small business, at the end of the day, will be what brings us out of the pandemic. Yeah. So once we come out of it, we need to be strong, right? And we need financial resources in order to do that. So I can't see any reason for why someone who is running a small business to not apply for it. Because you can be a one-member LLC, a one-person business, and pay yourself the funds. If you pay yourself 60% of the loan that you take, then the loan is forgiven. So as long as you do what you're supposed to do, there's no reason why you should owe anything back. There's a pull on your credit for sure, but I would rather have a credit pull for something that is forgivable than something that incurs debt. So the money is there. Part of it is what's due, what's just due. Get it, take it, use it, and do something that makes a positive outcome for you at the end of the day, because that's what we need. To make sure that when we come out of this, we are in a better position than we went in. The worst thing we can do is come out of it in a bad position. Yeah. So that's the breakdown of it. It doesn't take long to get at all. It's a simple application. You apply for it within maybe 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the lender. You should be funded, if you're doing legit business.
So you mentioned tax laws. Do tax laws change every year, or how do we even know when a tax law has changed? Like, do we get notifications for that? Like, can we sign up? I don't, because I'm still learning myself.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Tax laws change. Mm-hmm. They change every single year. They change with the presidency. They change with things that are happening in the economy. It may be something as small as, a change to the way in which you're able to claim employee expenses. Mm-hmm. At one point we used to be able to claim moving expenses and uniforms and things like that. And then, that was phased out. So there are thousands of tax laws, and they rewrite them. Congress writes them and revises them every single year. So there aren't any automatic updates or anything that goes out to every taxpayer, but you can sign up for notifications on the IRS's website for sure. And tax law is something that I feel like everyone should have some kind of familiarity with, because they do affect you whether you know it or not.
Right.
But yeah, they change every single year. And right now with COVID happening, they continue to write them even as we're filing. And that's something that has never happened before. Mm-hmm. Just a few weeks ago, they made a change to the taxable income for unemployment. Originally, when the season started, all of your 2020 unemployment benefits were taxable. Wow. But mid-season, they decided, hey, we'll give you a break on that, and only, 10,000 of it would be taxable. Mm. So that changed, and right now we don't know if we'll have to file a bunch of amendments to people who had filed prior to that, because what that means for the taxpayer is more money in your pocket if you have less taxable income.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that, but they change every year for sure.
Wow.
Knowledge is power, for real. Yeah. Because it's like I'm still learning, and I learn a lot from you just from your posts. Because I know if Brandy's saying it on her Facebook page, it's next.
I'm glad you feel that way. I'm glad you feel that way. Sometimes I'm not too sure, but I hear that a lot. People tell me that they trust what I say, and I take it very seriously because I don't take it for granted. Because as an accountant, what you want to have is a trust with your clients, with, people around you, friends and family. You just need to be able to be trusted. And so that's very important to me. Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free.
There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
So you mentioned the PPP loan. So is there any other financial, assistance that small businesses could take advantage of during this time?
There are hundreds and hundreds of resources out there. One of the things that people need to know right now is that small business and minority-owned business, being associated with it is the wave, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why we have so many companies coming out and having minority-owned grants or Black-owned grants, or just giving away money, something that has never happened before. Of course, there'll be, you know, a kickback or something for them on the tail end of it, right. But it's more lucrative to be a part of it right now. So just knowing that funding is as simple as a Google search, honestly. Like it's not that deep. It's not that hard. You can literally type in something like women-owned business funds. And come up with something that is realistic that you can apply for and that you would be eligible for. I would encourage people to sign up for Hello Alice. It's a website that you put your business information in it, tell them about yourself, and they will send you literally like notifications of resources and funding that is available to you.
Oh, wow.
And I see things come through there all the time, and I'm like sending them out and texting them to people. So definitely, you know, try Google and sign up for Hello Alice.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do
that.
Right,
I have to write that down.
Now, you know, I know that you're helping individuals get their small businesses started. I know far as in 2020, a lot of people were saying that, you know, they want to start a business. And then you have some people that's saying that they're scared to start a business during the COVID pandemic. What is some advice that you would give to new businesses, well, to individuals that want to start a business? Why do you think that this is such a great time to start a business? And what's your mindset as far as like when you say you want to start a business? It's not as easy as some people think. There's some trials and tribulations, but it's definitely worth it, in my opinion, when you start that business. So what advice would you give?
Well, first and foremost, I always tell people, I know it sounds cliche, but I always tell people that the business that they want to start or the business that they should be involved in is always something that's right around you, or something that you've always been doing, or something that you love. And you just hadn't, you know, thought about the possibility of you being the provider of it. Tap into that, because you can never go wrong with doing something that you absolutely love. It motivates you. It keeps you going. You know, it's that one thing that will not let you stop. So do what you love. That's first and foremost. Honestly, for me, like I've always loved numbers. I've always been a math person. Every role that I took for some reason seemed to, you know, coincide with that love for it. So it just became natural. And honestly, I work 20 times harder than I do for my business for anyone else, because, you know, I love it so much. And I love being able to help my clients and turn their situations around and, you know, solve problems for them that they had no idea that was as simple as a phone call, probably. So do that. And then as far as it being a good time, I mean, just look around and look what's happening. The world is literally changing in front of our eyes. Yeah. A year ago, we probably never thought it was possible for us to be at home and working and be successful and still be able to manage relationships with people and, you know, take care of our families. That was never a thought, because we were so stuck into, oh, I got to go to work, I got to go to school, I got to make sure my son is, you know, like it was so structured. Yeah. And the world is literally becoming a different place. And I'm glad to be here and be a part of it, and to understand what's happening. We've had a lot of change in our lifetime, but this one is very, very different. And so I think that, you know, there is no better time than now to explore what you have, you know, in your mind, because anything is possible right now. The funding is there. You know, the resources and the connections are there. Your network is around you. Most of the people that, you know, I do business with, my clients, are people who we do business with each other. We refer like all of our resources to each other. Like we're all talking and communicating and building like a space for us. So like, you know, there is no better time. Like it's just the I don't want to say the worst thing you can do, but do not get caught in the wave, one, and don't get left behind is how I feel. You know, ride it, because it's a good time. You know, a lot of people thought we would be, when we heard COVID was like, oh my God, like, are we all dying, or are we all losing our businesses? Are we all losing our houses? Like, the housing market is booming. It's a seller's market. I have a girlfriend who is trying to buy a house, and every time she blinks, it's gone. You know, like it's booming. I thought my business would suffer, and honestly, you know, I was kind of prosperous through it, because I was like, okay, everybody needs something right now, you know, like, let me get to it. So, you know, if you have, I think, you know, if you have the basic, you know, like fundamentals of just like making something happen, or, you know, knowing how to move and hustle, this is no better time than right now for you. This time is for you. Go for it.
I agree 100%. Yes.
Well, when an entrepreneur is considering starting their small business, I know there's a lot of incentives that come with that. So some of the main incentives that entrepreneurs can have when they're starting their, like, what can they look forward to as far as incentives starting their small business?
As far as taxes go?
Yeah.
So one of the things that makes a difference between, you know, you just selling something on the side and actually having, you know, your business in order is that everything, or I don't want to say everything, but most things that you do in your everyday life can be considered an expense for your business. For example, I'm sitting here, you know, on this podcast with you guys talking about Pretty Counts, and you know, I'm hungry, so I need to order something to eat. Order DoorDash, and instead of that being something that I just paid for personally, that's something that your business just paid for. Which means that, you know, at the end of the day, taxes are all about income and expenses. And if you have $40,000 in income and you're not writing off those expenses, then that taxable income is $40,000. And so when you know, do everything, you know, formalizing everything, getting an EIN number, you know, establishing your name, establishing your articles of formation, articles of organization, you know, those things become everyday business expenses for you. So, you know, that's one of the biggest tax implications. Another thing is there are small business tax credits that are available to you. You know, and that can, at the end of the day, help either your tax liability, or, you know, help you get a refund if you are, you know, a self-employed person with a pass-through entity, which is something like an LLC. So there's, you know, there's just a lot of positive things that come from having your business in order. You know, you can, when you have your business in order, not only are you looking at reducing your tax liability, but you can also get business credit. So as opposed to you applying for a card or, a store credit card in your personal credit, with your personal credit, you can do it with your business credit. So it's important. If you're doing business, if you're already doing it, just do it the right way. That's what I say.
Yeah. So what do you find is the best method with these receipts? Do you want everyone to, like, when you get there preparing for their taxes, like they're gonna come with all these receipts, or do you think it's best to, like, maybe write it in a ledger, or what's the best way?
Okay, so that's a great question, because people ask me that all the time. I do not like receipts, and I know that sounds weird coming from an accountant, but we are not in the 20th century anymore. Okay, we gotta move beyond that. So I think I don't use receipts. I never ask for them. She can speak for that and tell you what I'll ask for is maybe a business bank account or a personal bank account statement where I can go through, categorize everything and, expense it off. I don't do receipts. The IRS, at the end of the day, if they come to you and they ask you for some documentation of your business, a receipt would be good, 1 or 2. But for the most part, all of your information and your purchase history is on a bank statement. So you can always use that. Beyond that, there are apps that you can use to, digitize everything for you. One of them is Expensify. And what that is, you can connect let's say you have a business debit card or credit card, you can connect that to Expensify, put it in the app. And every time you go to the store and you make a purchase, you can mark it as a business expense or a personal expense. That's if you're, let's say you're still using your personal account. If you're using your business account, that's really all you need. Right. But if you are using your personal account, because sometimes people do mix, the two, which is fine. Just make sure that you have something that can, divvy it up for you. And Expensify is a great option.
Okay.
And you can that app even allows you to take receipts and,
scan them,
take pictures of receipts and keep them in there. But I don't, the whole receipt thing and leaving a paper trail with the times that we are in, with so much fraud and so much, identity theft and things like that going on. I just say don't leave a trail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And another good thing too that you can use as a self-employed person is the Google Drive. You can, if you want to keep receipts, you can put you a folder on a Google Drive, take a picture of it, upload it to the folder, and keep it there and toss it. Most of my clients, we use Google Drive because we share business documents and things like that back and forth. Each year, I'll ask them to put their tax documents into the folder, and there's no emailing. Don't mail me anything. You will never catch me with a stack of papers on the desk.
Right. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, because every year when you do my taxes, we use the Google Drive, and it's very simple too. You can scan practically anything and upload it, and you're able to see it. We're both able to see it as well. And like you said, it's like paper trail. You're not walking around with a pack of papers or anything. It's very simple.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely.
Can you tell us like any myths about taxes, like anything out there that have not been 100% true about, when it comes to like filing your taxes that people might think is true, but it's not?
One of the biggest myths that I even get tired of talking about it is that you can only claim 3 of your kids. It drives me crazy. Because why would the IRS or the government decide how many kids you can have and claim on your taxes? That doesn't make sense. What there are limitations on the credits that you receive for your kids. So you can have 5 kids and 6 kids and 7 if you wanted a Brady Bunch plus 1. And you could file all of them on your taxes, but you would only receive child tax credit for 3 of your kids. Earned income you can get for all of your kids. Okay. So that's one of the biggest things I think that causes some of the issues that we have with claiming other people's kids and things like that. Claim your own kids. Okay. Claim all of them and get credit for all of them.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Brandy, do you want to just drop your IG, Facebook name that you use for your business so our listeners can contact you if they have any other questions?
Absolutely. So we are on Facebook as Pretty Counts LLC Tax and Accounting Services. Follow us. We tend to post tons of information for whatever is going on in the world, how it affects you financially, and tax-wise. So follow us for that. And then also we are on Instagram as Pretty Counts Tax. That's Pretty Counts Tax, TAX. And we have a lot of good things there for you guys as well.
Yes, you do. Because I follow you on Instagram and Facebook.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I have learned so much today myself. So I appreciate you coming on and educating myself and the listeners as well.
I do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
So today's takeaway is by Evan Carmichael. He says, nobody wants to fail, but you can't let the fear of failing prevent you from making important decisions in your life.
Love it.
Evan Carmichael.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just want to thank Brandy again for taking the time out to be on our show today. She really gave a lot of good information.
Yes,
don't you think?
I agree.
Yeah, I think so too. And we just want to again thank our listeners for all of the support and just all of the positive feedback, all the love, all the followers. We just want to say thank you again. And if you want to be featured on our upcoming episode, please contact us on Instagram and Facebook at Real Conversations 21.
Thanks everyone for listening. This is Real Conversations with
Sheeta and
Nikki.